When we consider the future of society, we realize that technological advancement is not necessarily a straight line. And consequently, it can be difficult to picture anything further forward, anything more advanced than us. Our best brains have thought about it, and according to one John D. Barrow, the goal is to seek for supremacy over smaller and smaller worlds. Hello and welcome to Zeey, and today we're tackling the remarkable question, what if humanity was a Type 3- civilization? Do you require answers to the major questions? Then why not subscribe to Zeey for more videos like this one, and ring the bell for more thought-provoking information. The Kardashev scale is of course the most well-known scale toward advanced civilizations. It was created to quantify and measure the level of advancement that any society may theoretically achieve, and it has thus become an influential instrument when considering the possibility of extraterrestrial life. We can better hunt for them in space by developing predictions about what technology at different levels might be capable of. Nikolai Kardashev, the scale's designer, concentrated on energy potential. A Type 1 can harness all of the energy of its home planet, a Type 2 can harness all of the energy of its home star system, a Type 3 can harness all of the energy of its home galaxy, and there are extensions for Types 4, 5, and so on, the universe, multiverse, and so on. However, while the Kardashev scale is widely used, it is not without flaws. For example, it does not apply equally to all prospective groups. Planets in the same star system will all reach Type 1 at different times, depending on their individual size, orbit, distance from the star, and so on, but the parameters for all of those worlds to reach Type 2 are the same again. There is also significant criticism of the Kardashev scale's apparent rigidity, whereas in reality the levels appear to inevitably mix, so that a civilization may utilize certain Type 2 technologies before entirely becoming a Type 1, for example. Again, technical advancement is not necessarily a straight line. As a result, a variety of scales have been proposed as replacements. Carl Sagan, the popular physicist, for example, devised a new model based on the amount of knowledge that any particular culture can hold, and Sagan graded his arguably more sophisticated scale from A to Z. However, humanity has already passed the halfway point in Sagan's alphabet, so perhaps it is too restricted in this situation. Similarly, science fiction author Arthur C. Clarke devised a scale in his literature, this time based on the kind of technology a people can utilize, moving from stone to metal, and so on. However, Clarke's model has never genuinely competed with the Kardashev scale in real-world academic research. However, that breakthrough has been made with John Barrow's scale. Barrow, a famous astrophysicist, presented an almost reverse Kardashev scale in which civilizations are rated based on how little an object they can handle. It's known as the micro-dimensional scale, and it assesses progress in Type- categories. A Type 1-, for example, is like base camp. It can alter the world around it by digging tunnels and creating buildings. A Type 2-, on the other hand, penetrates deeper into the unseen, allowing it to control genes and biological bodies. A Type 3- can alter molecules on a fundamental level, which is the topic of today's discussion. Again, categorizing any culture into these categories is challenging, especially humanity. We've obviously passed Barrow's Type 1-, but we haven't conclusively completed any of the other kinds. We share some abilities with both a Type 2 and a Type 3- without fully mastering either. Being a full Type 3- would still entail accomplishing things that only exist in science fiction. A Type 3- human, for example, will have entirely mastered gene editing, allowing it to virtually customize humans and any other biological species. Genetic code and DNA can be repaired, altered, or even produced from scratch. We'd have immunity to most major diseases and malignancies, as well as effective remedies for anything that slipped through the cracks and quick-fix responses whenever a new germ or virus surfaced. Type 3- humans, on the other hand, would most likely be part cyborg, with artificial body parts replacing outmoded biological ones. Today's human capabilities will have been upgraded to the point that we will have what the contemporary world regards to be superpowers. With the most fundamental components of our own bodies under inspection and potentially open to reinterpretation, the route to superstrength via changed skeletons or superintelligence via custom-designed cerebral stimulants is short. This is also the long-foretold world of designer babies, in which parents can have their child appear and act precisely how they desire. It's also a world where resurrecting previously extinct animals should be straightforward, therefore something like to Jurassic Park for a Type 3- society might be viable. A Type 3-, on the other hand, would be more than just a biology expert. Although they cannot yet regulate individual atoms, their overall molecular control offers up a world of possibilities for their species. Take, for example, the actuality of temperature. Because temperature is determined by the mobility of molecules, manipulating the speed of molecules allows you to accurately control the ambient environment. One of the most important, everyday conditions for a comfortable living is completely customizable for this civilization. On a smaller, more specific, home-by-home scale, imagine that today's air conditioning units are universally replaced with molecular control panels, devices infused with microdimensional know-how that allow the user to interact with the very molecules in the room, extracting or adding heat as needed. When this technology is combined with biological advancements, the machines may not even be necessary, with a Type 3- capable of just thinking molecular manipulation, in this case, normal temperature, into life. While not as blatantly expansionist as the Kardashev scale, the Barrow scale is nevertheless strongly orientated towards space travel, providing different feasible answers to a group's interplanetary aspirations. For modern people, all eyes are on Mars, although we know it's unfriendly, not least due to a scarcity of water and a breathable atmosphere. However, if you're Type 3-, you can simply manufacture and manipulate the greenhouse gases required to kickstart the production of water and atmosphere. It's yet another illustration of how a 3- might efficiently tailor their crucial surroundings. When they reach somewhere, if the air isn't immediately breathable, they can manipulate the molecules about until it is. If the water isn't immediately drinkable, they can filter and cleanse it until it's completely safe for their health. This power to manipulate genes as well as produce new materials from molecules would revolutionize many industries. Construction and building work, for example, would undergo a revolution with custom-made unbreakable materials that are as strong, durable, light, and efficient as possible. Perhaps inspiration might come from the natural world, with dwellings and buildings fashioned of something comparable to spider silk, for example, due to its remarkable strength. A similar method might be employed in clinical settings, where nature once again inspires. We know that shark skin is perfectly engineered to deflect as many things as possible, such as algae, debris, and even germs, so Type 3- physicians and healers may translate it into a technology or bodily improvement to aid them in their work. Moving away from the workplace, a Type 3- could potentially generate their own gills and thus breathe underwater, or manipulate their own eyes to be more like those of the mantis shrimp, which can famously process many times more colors than a human eyeball can. If you wanted to climb walls, for example, you could modify your body or the wall. Even if you wanted to float or fly, you could conceivably rearrange molecules to propel yourself upwards, allowing you to walk on air. Food, like water, can be managed and regulated at the molecular level, resulting in only the healthiest and tastiest meals all of the time. There are certain disadvantages. In principle, a society of Type 3- should be equal, but what if it isn't? What if certain people can manipulate food and water but not others? What happens if the ability to shift the molecular base layer of reality remains untapped indefinitely? Perhaps a Type 3- would require some kind of enforcement or regulation, but would it take away the freedom on which this future reality is based? For the time being, we may say that John Barrow's scale did not finish at Type 3-. He envisioned groups someday learning to govern even smaller universes. its dominion over atoms at type 4-, and atoms' nucleus at type 5-, elementary particles like quarks at type 6, and there's even an omega civilization that controls the fabric of spacetime itself. On Barrow's third ROM, we still have goals to work toward and things to improve. It won't be a flawless world, but we'll have come a long way in terms of technological advancement. That is what would happen if humanity was a civilization of type 3-. What are your thoughts? Is there anything we left out? Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for the latest stuff.